Welcome to another special edition of Daily Airline News focusing on the search for MH370. And as you will note, Richard's not there, and he is replaced by the amazing Blaine Gibson, who has found more debris than anybody and has been responsible for a lot more being found. Welcome, Blaine.
Well, thank you very much, Jeffrey. And I won't say good afternoon or good morning. I'll just say good day.
Yeah, good. So, Blaine, I'm going to fire a whole bunch of questions that I want to know the answers to. And of course, some of these questions will be repeating what many people know, but still some people don't know. And so this is sort of like a let's get everybody up to date with Blaine. And then every week we're going to be talking with Blaine and then also answering questions as well. So Blaine will bring a completely different perspective to the search for MH370. Now, before we start, however, an Amada 7806 update, and this has come from Richard Godfrey, I must qualify that, and we're showing you a picture right now on the screen. Amada 7806 has left Singapore and is going down to Port Louis. So it'll be down there, I think, in about 14 days. But that's really, really interesting that it's going down there into the southern Indian Ocean again in the middle of winter. So, in fact, what we might do, Blaine, is get your thoughts on that. Well, why do you think she's going down there?
Well, Jeffrey, I'll find out. I've been many times to Mauritius and love it. It's one of my favorite countries. I've got some good friends there, and
Yep.
I'll find out what she's doing, why she's going there. I know that she has some local operators there that Ocean Infinity works with a lot, and let's find out.
Great stuff. We look forward to your report on that, Blaine. Now, let's get on to debris. There's lots of controversy about how much debris, who found it, where, why. So, how many pieces of MH370 debris have you actually found?
I have actually found and collected from local people, reported and handed in 22 pieces of debris. Now,
Yeah,
of those 22, I only found about seven myself.
yeah.
15 were brought to me by local people, collected after the families and I offered a reward. So I really can't take credit for all 22 of those pieces. There are a total of 43 pieces of 370 debris that have been recovered by more than 20 different people, completely unrelated to me, in 6 different countries.
Yeah, and in fact, what we're doing right now, viewers, is showing you a graphic, an Excel spreadsheet put together by Richard Godfrey with help from Blaine, listing all the pieces of debris, who found them, where they were found, and the details of each piece. So, Blaine, what inspired you to go searching for this debris? What was the light bulb moment?
The light bulb moment was when I found out that there was no organized official search for floating debris at all. That simply got missed because 370 had disappeared. At first, they didn't know in which ocean or in which hemisphere. They just followed the normal procedures of doing the aerial searches. And then when they figured out it was in the ocean, doing the subsea search. But no notices were given to countries in the southwestern Indian Ocean to be on the lookout for debris. There were no organized official searches being conducted. So I just thought, hey, that's something I can do. I can go to beaches and shorelines in different parts of the world and look, and maybe I'll get lucky and find one of the pieces of 370. And I looked in at first, before the flaperon was found, I was looking in the Gulf of Thailand, the Andaman Sea, the Maldives. And then when the flaperon was found, I knew that the plane was for sure in the southern Indian Ocean. So I just went and started looking for it, consulting with experts to tell me where and when to go, where beachings would most likely take place.
So, who was the main person who guided you of where to look for this debris?
The main person who guided me was Professor Cherry Patiarachi of University of Western Australia in Perth. Just after the flaperon was found, I went to Mauritius. I went to La Réunion. I met Johnny Begg. I then went to Australia and met Professor Patiarachi and asked him, where should I go to look for debris and when? And he said, according to our drift analysis, about 2 years after the crash, debris should show up in Madagascar and Mozambique. And he showed me how they had accurately predicted the arrival of the flaperon in the Mascarenes, which are La Réunion and Mauritius. And his drift analysis seemed to be the best, so I followed his advice. I went to Mozambique, and then on a sandbank off the coast of Mozambique, there was no step, the first piece of
Mm.
debris that I found. And then I went to Madagascar and found a bunch more and put out the word among local people, and they reported it and handed it to me.
So when you were out searching, how long was it before you found no step?
First of all, I searched for a year in
Yeah.
15 different countries and didn't find any debris. I was in Mauritius and Rodrigues and the west and south coast of Australia and Tasmania before I found any debris at all. Then, when I went to Mozambique,
Mm.
I out to one area and they said, since this is inside a reef, there probably won't be anything here. You need to go outside. That's where the local fishermen go to collect nets and things that float ashore from the Indian Ocean. So I went out to that sandbank. And I think I was walking around the sandbank for about 20 minutes when I and Junior Valley found this first piece of debris, which had no
Mm.
step on it. Junior Valley, the owner of the boat, actually picked it up before I did and said, "Hey, Blaine, is this that missing plane?" That was it.
Wow. So how did you feel when you saw this and you think, hang on, this is from MH370. What was your reaction?
I didn't feel happy because happy would be if I had arrived at that sandbank and found 239 people grilling seafood, sipping on coconuts, saying, "Hey, what took you so long?" That would be happy.
Mm.
I felt a sense of accomplishment in that I had finally found what I had set out to do. And I also felt a sense of tremendous responsibility and some fear because here I was with the second piece of debris that had been found in the greatest aviation mystery in history on a sandbank offshore in a country that was torn by civil war, and I couldn't even drive from the city on shore, Vilanculos, to Maputo because of rebels on the road. So I thought I need to make sure that this gets the attention that it deserves, that it gets into the right hands, that it is investigated because this is a very significant find. So it was a sense of accomplishment and responsibility, not happiness.
So from your perspective, Blaine, and you've been out there for years now, and found all sorts of pieces of debris. What does the debris tell us about how MH370 crashed and where, in your view?
Every piece of debris that I have held in my hands, from no step to the monitor case to the small shattered pieces of cabin debris to a panel from the wing, they all say one word to me: shattered, like the Rolling Stones song. This
Mm.
plane shattered on impact.
Mm.
And I have found pieces from all over the plane. Interior cabin debris, I've found about a dozen. And the tail, the wing, the nose landing gear door, the undercarriage, all of them shattered. This plane shattered on impact with the water. Now, maybe some pieces fell off on the way down. I know that some experts say that. I don't know. However, there is no question that this plane shattered. It is not, as some experts ridiculously continue to claim, a controlled intact ditching with the fuselage mostly intact underwater. No, that simply did not happen. Anyone who says that has never found and held and physically examined a piece of the plane. Was it an attempted ditching? I don't know. The wing flap was determined by ATSB and Boeing to be retracted, which would not be the case during a ditching. Some people continue to claim that it was a ditching, but if it was an attempted ditching, it was surely a miserable failure. The Southern Indian Ocean is not the Hudson. It was not a controlled soft landing ditching, period.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I mean, one of the things that one of the things that we've done is get the weather satellite pictures from the day that it crashed or disappeared, March the 8th. And where we believe it is, there was a big cold front going through. And the swells out there are 4 and 5 meters or thereabouts. And there's no way in the world you put a plane gently down in that, and not a chance. So, yeah. Now,
And
Blaine,
to answer the most important part of your question,
sure.
where the
Yes.
most important thing is not how it crashed, but where it crashed.
Yeah.
And where it crashed, the debris that I found, I was guided where to look for it and when by the University of Western Australia drift analysis. And that drift analysis predicted, and has always said, somewhere between 28.3 degrees south and 33.2 degrees south, wider from the seventh arc, because you can tell from drift analysis what the latitude is, but not the longitude is. So that's where it crashed, because that is the best drift analysis that guided me in where to search. So follow that. The fact that all the debris went to the southwestern Indian Ocean, the African side, and none to the Australian side, in spite of the diligent search efforts of other individuals like me, that shows that it crashed further north than originally thought. Most likely north of 33.2, perhaps, according to the CSIRO drift analysis, as far south as 36.5 degrees south, but not south of that.
And in fact, viewers, what we're showing you right now is a map of the search area, and the area marked in yellow is the area that Blaine has been talking about. So that's the broad area of the University of Western Australia. Now, let's get down to some controversy. How do you feel about the people who claim the debris is not from the plane, or worse, planted by you or other people?
Those claims, for one thing, are absolutely preposterous and ridiculous. But I'll be honest, they are very hurtful.
Yeah.
Because I am not the only person who's found debris. There are more than 20 other private citizens, totally unrelated to me, in 6 different countries who have found debris. And they are not spies, and they have not planted and it wasn't planted by some nefarious character figuring that people would pick it up. The debris is naturally washing ashore from the crash site that is somewhere in the southeastern Indian Ocean. That is for sure. As far as the personal accusations against me go, they are extremely hurtful, but at the same time, they are laughable.
Yeah.
If they were correct, if they were true, it would make me essentially an accessory after the fact to mass murder, and a spy for my country, or a traitor to my country and a spy for another country. So that's highly defamatory, totally baseless. I have been in 185 countries in the world. There are 195. I've been in 185. I have lived in about 10 and studied and worked part-time. I have only lived full-time in one country in the world, and that's my country, and that's the United States. I have not even set foot in Russia for 20 years. So who are making these claims? Well, there are some people who do not want the plane found at all. They didn't want there to be any debris and didn't expect there would be any debris. And so they're very upset that someone is finding the plane. So they attack me. But then there are others, and a much larger. To them, it's all about their little pet theories and agendas.
Mm.
And they do not want the plane found unless it is found exactly where they say it is and happened exactly as they say it did.
Mm.
That is a much larger group. To them, it's all about their pet theories and nothing else. They made up their minds 11 years ago what happened to the plane and where, and they simply will not give up. And those theories, some aren't even theories. I mean, claims that MH370 was shot down by the United States in the South China Sea, that's not even a theory. That is a fantasy that is disproven by all the evidence. Claims that it was hijacked by Russia and flown to Kazakhstan, that might have been a theory in the early days, but it has since been disproven by all the evidence. So it's not even a theory. It's a fantasy. And it's a highly defamatory fantasy. Then there are other theorists who really want it to be a controlled intact ditching underwater. They really want it to be a ghost flight. They really want the captain to have done it as a premeditated, ditched, sunk, intact pilot suicide. Well, I'm sorry, I have no theory. I have found more pieces of debris than anyone else on the planet, and yet I don't have a theory as to what happened to the plane. I don't know. I don't have a particular agenda. I think we need to find the plane to know for sure what happened. And if I find some debris that interferes with someone's pet end of flight scenario or pet theory or agenda or pet location, I just say, hey, I want to find the plane wherever it is and the truth, whatever it is. And I think that's what the families want. I think that's what the flying public wants. And that's what I want.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And in fact, listeners or viewers, I should say, I've actually been in Russia in 2012 in St. Petersburg for a few days. So I'm probably more a spy than Blaine is. So,
Well,
but
you've been there
listen,
since I was.
exactly. I don't want to go back there, I can tell you. But Blaine, give us an update on your most recent debris finds, and is there more to come? Is there more to come?
Well, in the Annex 13 report, there are 33 pieces of debris, 32 items, 33 pieces, because one item had two almost identical pieces. 17 or 18 of those are ones that I found and handed in. There are still another 10, four found by me, and 6 found by others that have not yet been officially investigated. Now, of those other 4 that I have found and collected, one of them is the base plate of the vortex generator, which is the plate below the little fin that's on the side of an engine.
Another
that
one.
was delivered. Yes, that was delivered to Malaysia, has not been officially investigated. It could tell us a lot about how the plane impacted the water. But I have some updates on the 2 most recent pieces of debris. that I collected when I was on Sirica, Madagascar. One of them is the O panel, which has what appears to be a partial O or a partial semicircle on it. That was claimed by some self-appointed experts to have been from the Team Vistus wind yacht. It was not. They were looking at low resolution screenshots of a video I had sent them. I had that privately, physically examined by professional Boeing engineers. And they determined that it was of aviation origin, consistent with materials used on a Boeing 777. They gave it back to me. I handed it to the 370 families, and they handed it in on the 10-year anniversary of the different disappearance of the plane for official investigation. We have not yet seen the results of that official investigation. The second piece of debris that I have an update on is what I call the Tatali debris. This was found by a fisherman back in 2016, 2017, when all the debris was washing ashore from Malaysia 370. His wife used it as a washing board in the meantime. Yep. And the reason it was so significant is it had in it 4 parallel slices that cut right through the carbon fiber polymer, composite, and honeycomb, like knife through soft butter. And that was probably made when the plane impacted the water, perhaps by the engine blades. Now, a few experts who were afraid that that might interfere with their end of flight scenario made the ridiculous claim that that was from the Team Vestas wind yacht. Well, it wasn't. That was oceanographically impossible. The Vestas wind yacht debris would have arrived there in 3 months, not 3 years, and this was clearly of aviation origin. I had the same experts who examined the O panel look at high-resolution photographs of the Tatali debris, and they said it was aviation origin consistent with a 777. Well, it sat in Madagascar for a long time waiting for Malaysia to pay for delivery. And what happened is that recently, during that time, one aviation engineer specialist did look at it and said that he thought it was Boeing 777 and that he thought that those slices probably came from the engine blades upon impact with the water and was very interested in it. The Madagascar authorities kept it in very good hands, waiting for Malaysia to pay for delivery. And I now understand that that debris has been transported into the hands of autorité responsable, responsible authorities of an unspecified country for official examination. I hope that we will hear the results of that when it is done, because this piece could tell us a lot about how the plane impacted the ocean, its final moments.
Yeah. Now, just finally, Blaine, I believe that you may be getting some more debris soon.
Yes, I will. I saw one question by someone called, one of your listeners called Free Ranger. I am still looking, even though I don't go myself and just comb on the beach. I and the 370 families set up a network there of people who notify me every time there is some debris that is found that's possibly from the plane. A couple cyclones have hit there. One made a direct hit on Tonjil Bay. And I am getting reports of some more items of debris that are probably from the plane. And I will reveal those to you in a week or two as soon as I get them and some good photos of them.
Fantastic. So look, thank you very much indeed, Blaine. And viewers, that's all we've got time for today. but Blaine is very keen to answer your questions. So please leave comments, leave questions, and we'll have Blaine on again later in the week to answer those questions. And Blaine has agreed to become a regular contributor to the MH370 daily search updates, and it'll be really great to get his perspective. So thank you very much indeed, Blaine. And viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking us, and do keep the comments coming. And Blaine, once again, thank you very much indeed.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you and Richard very much for all of your efforts, and thanks to all of your viewers for your interest in solving this mystery. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great.